On our 4th anniversary, Sarah was glowing, and we had a wonderful evening. The next morning, she handed me a small, beautifully wrapped bag. I was thrilled, my heart pounding as I thought, this is it, an engagement ring. But inside wasn't a ring. It was a check for a large sum and a one-way plane ticket. She smiled, but it was casual, almost distant. 4 years is a good run, Liam, she said. I think we should have a clean break. Take this and please don't show your face around me again. I was stunned, unable to process her words. I asked her why. Her smile widened, and this time it was triumphant. Because David finally broke up with his girlfriend, she explained. I can finally go after him without any baggage, so obviously you can't be in the picture anymore. Her words hit me like a physical blow, and a deep chill ran down my spine. I took a deep breath, my pride the only thing forcing me to swallow the wave of rage and humiliation. You're breaking up with me, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Sarah was already scrolling through her phone, looking completely unfazed by the bomb she had just dropped. Is it that hard to understand? She asked, not looking up. Since when did you get so slow? I scoffed, turned and went to the bathroom. I leaned over the sink and splashed cold water on my face, trying to clear my head, trying to make sense of the last 5 minutes. I looked at myself in the mirror, at the reflection of a man who had just been discarded, and closed my eyes. The answer was clear. When I came out, Sarah didn't even look up from her phone. Well, she asked. Figured it out? I walked over and placed the check and the plane ticket neatly on the table in front of her. My expression was full of a contempt I didn't bother to hide. Are you completely clueless? I asked. Who do you think you're kidding? Sarah and I had met in college during our senior year. We, along with a few classmates, had started a company together, Apex Solutions. In the years since, it had grown into something huge. That was also the year we fell in love, or so I thought. For 4 years, Sarah had been, for the most part, caring and considerate. I knew she had an ex-boyfriend, this David, but who doesn't have a past? Besides, she'd been great to me all these years. I always thought we were soulmates, destined to grow old together, so I never paid it much mind. I never imagined she'd dump me for him now, after everything we'd built. Sarah's face finally darkened as she registered my tone. After her initial shock, I could see anger building. I hate it when people look at me like that, she snapped. I saw a nearby bottle of wine on the counter, one we'd been saving. It was worth tens of thousands. For a fleeting second, I imagined throwing it, but the thought passed. What's with that look? She demanded. Who are you trying to impress? That wine was a waste to even think about splashing on her, but the anger was still there, hot and coiling in my stomach. Enough, Liam, she said. You're acting like a complete child. She grabbed my arm, and I frowned, pulling it away. Don't touch me, I said, my voice low. You've got some nerve. She looked like she wanted to argue back, but then she saw the look on my face and seemed to remember something. I'd been kidnapped as a kid, a traumatic event, and after I was rescued, my parents had enrolled me in Taekwondo for years to build my confidence and teach me control. She sheepishly lowered her hand. Seeing her back down like that, I sneered. And here I thought you were tough, Sarah. Just a coward who bullies the weak and fears the strong. I don't know what I was thinking when I fell for you back then. I elegantly walked over to the sink to wash my hands. You want to break up? Fine by me, I said, drying my hands and turning to her with a smirk that didn't reach my eyes. Looking at you makes me sick, too. You'll buy out my shares in the company, at 5 times the market price. Her jaw dropped. Otherwise, I continued, don't blame me for dragging your name and your new relationship through the mud. With that, I turned and left. I could hear Sarah screaming something behind me, but I didn't care. It was just the pathetic cries of the weak. After leaving the hotel, I got into my new car and immediately called Mark. He was my guy on the inside at Apex, a friend from the early days who'd stayed in middle management. I've always been someone who craves freedom, which is why I chose to start my own business. 2 years after graduation, once Apex was stable and had grown pretty large, I stepped back from most of the day-to-day operations. I kept a cushy, do-nothing job title while I traveled all over the country. That's why Sarah underestimated me, thinking I was just a figurehead shareholder with no real power. What she didn't know was that while I wasn't planting spies, I had maintained my friendships. I had people who were loyal to the company we built, not just to her. All good things must come to an end, and even when we were deeply in love, I knew it was smart to have allies. It's much better to have money and power in your own hands than to rely on someone else for them. And thanks to her overconfidence, she thought I was just some love-struck fool, completely devoted to her. Maybe my acting skills were just too good. Mark's voice came on the line, his usual booming tone. Liam? What's up? You're on vacation. Not anymore, I said, clearing my throat. We broke up. What? I could hear shuffling on his end. She broke up with me. For David. Before I could say anything else, Mark continued. Good riddance. I couldn't stand her. Who does she think she is? Some kind of queen bee? Working in the same company as her was pure mental torture. I knew Sarah always looked down on her employees. Probably thought being CEO made her better than everyone else. I chuckled. All right, do something for me. Start pulling the expense, reports, the ones from her private dinners, and the revised project budgets she pushed through last quarter. Of course, Liam, Mark said, his voice serious now. It's my honor to help. I laughed, gave Mark some more instructions, and hung up, confident that everything was under control. Just as I was about to make another call, I got one from Chloe. Her voice was cool, yet reassuring. Heard you broke up, she said. Chloe was my college professor's daughter, a beautiful woman of mixed heritage. I was a good student in college and loved her father's classes. Over time, I got to know him well, and that's how I met Chloe. I had originally planned to be his graduate student, but starting the business got in the way. Now, Chloe's firm did business with our company, and we occasionally chatted about work. Wow, news travels fast, huh? I replied. Chloe was silent for a couple of seconds. You probably don't know, she said, but Sarah was at a banquet with David a few days ago. She hasn't really brought anyone else to these things but you for years. I figured something was up. I frowned. Was Chloe calling just to tell me this? So, why'd you call? I asked directly. I wanted to ask, if you're thinking about dating again, do you think I could ask you out? I met Chloe's question with silence. It was so sudden I didn't know how to respond. If you're not interested, it's okay. Chloe's voice broke the silence. These things have to be mutual. You can't force them. I looked ahead, a small smile playing on my lips. Okay, I said. I'll give you a shot. The other end of the line seemed to go still for a moment. Then I could hear the surprise and delight in her voice. Where are you now? Stay put. I'm coming to you. I gave her my address, and 15 minutes later, I saw Chloe. She seemed a little shy when she saw me, but walked towards me with determination. You don't mind that Sarah and I just broke up? I asked, curious. We were together for 4 years, practically about to get married. Chloe shook her head, her expression serious. You broke up. It's not like you cheated. Why would I mind? I smiled. I'm pretty free these days. Got any good date ideas? We could go do something fun. Chloe thought for a moment. Your passport's still valid, right? I nodded. Her eyes crinkled. Mr. Liam, would you be willing to go on a spontaneous trip with me? I was taken aback. The sunlight hit her face just right, and my heart pounded. I couldn't bring myself to say no. Okay, I heard myself say. Right before boarding, Sarah called. Liam, stop this nonsense! Her voice was full of exhaustion, but it just made me laugh. Looks like Mark did a good job. I'd have to give him a raise when I got back. I gestured to Chloe beside me, indicating I needed to handle a work matter. I found a quiet corner and said without mincing words, Nonsense? Sarah, you still think I'm playing games? Where do you get off? Liam, she yelled, I've treated you well all turn. These years! Don't go too far. Me? Go too far? I shot back. Did I hold a knife to your throat and force you to cheat? I've never been one to lose a verbal spar. When the company was just starting, I was the one out there drinking at banquets to land us deals. Back then, Apex was nowhere near as big as it is now. No one wanted to trust a bunch of college kids. I was the one drinking with those execs, trying to secure orders, enduring their lecherous stares and occasional groping. One time I drank 3 bottles of vodka and ended up in the hospital. Back then, I was used to ending up in the hospital a few times a month. The memory made my stomach churn. She probably remembered those early days too, because she fell silent. I swallowed my humiliation, my pride and stubbornness refusing to let me show weakness. Now that the company's big, and I don't have to grovel for business anymore, you've forgotten all that. Sarah was silent for a long time. Liam, she finally said, you did all that willingly. I almost laughed out loud. I naively thought she might feel a shred of sympathy for me. I didn't want to talk to her anymore. I hung up and blocked her number. Then I messaged Mark, telling him to speed things up. I couldn't let someone like her ruin my trip. Turning around, I saw Chloe. She was looking at me with a complicated expression. For a moment, I could have sworn I saw pity in her eyes. After a long journey, we arrived in the city often called the end of the world. It was snowing heavily when we left the airport. Even though I'd seen many snowy cities over the years, this was still breathtaking. I looked at Chloe beside me. Have you been here before? She nodded. She smiled. Someone I knew loved it, so I came every year, until I met him. I tilted my head, curious. So, did you find him? Chloe nodded. I did, she smiled again. But I don't think he remembers me. Who? I asked casually. You, she said, her eyes crinkling into crescents as she smiled again. I blushed, thinking she was joking, and mumbled, "Oh, stop it," before walking ahead. Chloe was a fantastic guide. On our first day, she took me to some incredible places. Most importantly, she was an amazing photographer and took some of the best pictures of me I'd ever had. It made me feel like this trip was truly worth it. Anything you want to write to your family? We were at the post office at the end of the world, where many people write postcards to send home. What are you writing? I saw Chloe scribbling away on a postcard and slowly edged closer. She covered the postcard and smiled. Wouldn't you like to know? I pouted. Fine, don't tell me. Chloe saw I was a little miffed and tried to cheer me up. King crab is super cheap here. Let's have that for dinner. How cheap? I asked, curious. Chloe thought for a moment. Around $50. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. I practically bolted for the door. I was going to eat my fill today. Only a fool passes. Up a good deal. Chloe laughed helplessly. Slow down, don't fall. There's plenty of crab. After devouring the king crab, we took a walk along the coast to digest. In the fading sunlight, I looked at the lighthouse on the shore. Everything here was as beautiful as Alice's Wonderland. The pain Sarah had caused was slowly healing. Actually, as soon as I landed, I'd seen a lot of messages about Sarah. I thought I'd be sad or furious, but I only felt calm. I suddenly realized I didn't love her anymore, and it had happened so quickly. I instinctively glanced at Chloe beside me. Her face in the sunset looked incredibly tender and affectionate. My heart raced. "Chloe," I said. She looked at me, her eyes full of warmth. "Let's date," I heard myself say again. Chloe's face lit up. "Really?" I nodded. "Yeah. Would you like to?" "Yes, I would. I really would." "Well, it's getting late," I said, happy with her answer, and turned around. "Let's head back to our rental and rest up. We have to catch a boat tomorrow." "Okay," Chloe said, her face flushed. I hummed a tune all the way back to the rental. With Chloe, this trip was turning out to be amazing. Beautiful scenery and a beautiful woman. And yep, that beautiful woman was now my girlfriend. With that happy thought, Chloe and I boarded the boat the next afternoon. "Chloe," I said excitedly, tugging her sleeve. "Look, dolphins!" Chloe followed my gaze and saw a dolphin leap out of the water. She smiled and replied, "Dazzling, just like you." I laughed teasingly. "What, do I look like a dolphin?" No, Chloe quickly explained. "I mean," she paused, "you're more captivating than the scenery." My heart did a flip. I turned my head away, avoiding Chloe's gaze. Thanks." The atmosphere between Chloe and me suddenly turned a bit electric. She blushed and apologized. "Sorry, Liam, I didn't mean to be too forward. I just genuinely wanted to compliment you." I shook my head stiffly. No, it's fine. It's just, I get a little shy when you compliment me like that." "Really?" Chloe asked cautiously. "So if I compliment you like this more often, you won't be shy anymore?" She looked at my face and smiled, satisfied. "But it's okay. You just need to get complimented more often. I'll compliment you every day from now on," Chloe declared boldly, her face beaming as if to say, "You're welcome." "Me? That's really not necessary. No thanks, I'm good," I politely declined. "It's no problem," Chloe said with a smile. "Don't be modest." I didn't want to argue about it, so I just nodded vaguely. Chloe smiled, pleased. We leaned against the ship's railing, the sea breeze in our hair, watching the dolphins leap from the waves. The ship moved slowly, and I saw a glacier calving. In that moment, it felt like a weight in my heart broke off and drifted away with it. "Chloe, I used to love Sarah," I said, looking at the view and opening up to her. "We supported each other through a lot. I thought we'd be the perfect partners." "And then?" Chloe looked at me, her expression complex. I shook my head. "She betrayed me and tried to humiliate me." I turned, leaning my back against the railing. "But I'm not a pushover. After she insulted me like that, there's no way I'd go easy on her. She crossed the line first, so don't blame me for not playing nice." Chloe spoke slowly. "You did the right thing." I paused, looking at her. She met my gaze. "When she insulted you, she threw away everything you had together. You don't need to feel bad. If you're not firm with her, you'll be the one suffering in the end." Hearing her words, I smiled, a sudden sense of relief washing over me. "You're right. What I couldn't get over was everything I'd invested in her." My eyes dropped and my voice turned a little cold. "But I'll get all of that back. With interest." Chloe smiled. "I hope you succeed." "I definitely will," I replied, smiling back at her. "Well, congratulations in advance then," Chloe returned my knowing smile. I winked at her. After a few days at sea, we landed on Penguin Island. The penguins were adorable, lining up to dive into the water. They were also a bit smelly, not quite as fragrant as they look on TV. Snow-capped mountains reaching for the sky, whales breaching and diving. Seeing these sights, which I'd only ever witnessed on television, now right before my eyes, gradually healed my heart. I looked at Chloe beside me. "Chloe," I said softly, trailing behind her. "Thank you for bringing me here. And thank you for being my boyfriend." Chloe turned back and smiled at me. I froze. She'd heard me, and she'd responded. I smiled and focused on the path ahead. She did too. Chloe and I spent about 2 weeks together at the end of the world. We promised each other we'd definitely come back. Good times always fly by. Before I knew it, I was on a plane back home, still feeling a bit surreal. I looked at Chloe beside me. "So, what are your plans now that you're back?" "Go see my parents and my brother, I guess," she said casually, flipping through the newspaper the flight attendant had given her. "What about you?" "Revenge." I couldn't help but chuckle. "Yeah, something like that." "And after that? What are you planning to do?" Chloe suddenly asked. "Or rather, what kind of person do you want to become?" Hearing Chloe say that made me pause. Right. What kind of person did I want to become? All these years, starting a business, dating, it felt like it was all about being someone impressive in other people's eyes. Now I was financially free, no longer needing to worry about the basics. It was time to think about who I really wanted to be. That's an interesting question. So have you become the person you wanted to be? I tilted my head and asked her. Chloe shook her head. Most people go through phases of wanting to be a certain type of person. Like kids, one day they want to be a teacher, the next day, maybe a doctor. For me, achieving my current goals is enough for now. I was a bit curious. "So, what's your current goal?" Chloe smiled. "I'm not telling you." "All right, fine," I said, waving my hand. Chloe smiled again. "I'll tell you when I achieve it." "Okay then. Congratulations in advance for that, too," I chuckled. After another long, bumpy flight, I was exhausted. All I wanted was my bed and a good, long rest. I looked at Chloe. "I'm seriously wiped this time. Let's keep in touch by phone." Chloe smiled and invited, "Aren't you hungry? Why don't we grab a bite to eat first?" We walked out side by side. I waved my hand. "I'm really beat. How about we meet up after I've had some sleep?" Chloe nodded, looking a little disappointed. I was about to pat her shoulder when I heard someone call my name. I looked closer. Well, speak of the devil. Sarah. What an unwelcome surprise. Just seeing her annoyed me. She was like gum stuck to the bottom of my shoe, impossible to shake off. I rubbed my forehead. Chloe was right there. I didn't want her to see this mess. "Go on, what do you want to say?" Sarah looked at Chloe. "Her?" Then she looked at me, her voice rising in anger. "You went on this trip with her?" I frowned, not wanting to waste words on her. "Let me introduce you. Chloe, my girlfriend. Sarah. There are some harsh things I could say, and I'm only holding back out of respect for what we used to have. But don't push your luck." Sarah's face went from dark to pale. As if remembering something, she sneered. "And here I thought you'd be all heartbroken and pure. What, we're not even officially broken up, and you couldn't wait to find another woman?" "You two weren't broken up?" Chloe suddenly interjected, looking Sarah straight in the eye. "You cheated and he dumped you." Chloe then smiled, as if a thought had just occurred to her. "I'm leagues better than you. Of course he chose me." "You!" Sarah seethed. "Who do you think you are? This is between him and me. It's none of your business. Chloe let out a soft laugh. Sarah completely lost it. She raised her hand to slap Chloe, but I was quicker. I grabbed her wrist and threw her hand back. Sarah, I don't want to see you right now, I said coldly. I'm a shareholder too. Just because you've been running the company for a while, does that make you think us shareholders are your employees? I leaned closer to her. If you want to keep your job as CEO, you'd better show me some respect. Apex was my blood, sweat, and tears, too. 5 times the market price. You're not getting ripped off. I turned and walked towards Chloe. Email me the contract. Wire the money to my account. Other than that, I don't want to hear a peep from you. We were together for years, after all. Let's just try to part ways amicably. After saying that, I took Chloe's hand and walked away. After returning home, I started managing company affairs remotely, buried in work every day. Although Chloe and I were officially dating, we'd had so much fun on our trip that now we both had a mountain of things to catch up on. Since that day at the airport, we'd only exchanged a few texts in our spare moments and hadn't seen each other again. I actually kind of missed her. But then another uninvited guest showed up. David, Sarah's one that got away. Seeing him at my door, I felt a surge of impatience. Why is this never ending? What do you want? David froze, looking at my annoyed expression, and hesitated before speaking. Don't you think you're being a bit too unreasonable? Unreasonable? How? I suddenly felt like laughing. David stuck his neck out. You guys started the company together. What gives you the right to demand 5 times the price for your shares? I genuinely have no patience for idiots. I leaned against the door frame. I've done my research on you. Don't take this the wrong way, but you only broke up with your ex, Shelby, because she went bankrupt. And you only got with Sarah because she's rich now. Honestly, you know what kind of person you are. Just do your thing as a gold digger. There's really no need to come to me. You. Aren't you just cashing in on Sarah too? What right do you have to call me a gold digger? David retorted indignantly. I burst out laughing. She and I, along with some classmates, founded this company together. And she was the one who emotionally cheated. She was in the wrong first. Seriously, you can't pin this on me. I'm just collecting some compensation for emotional distress. I looked at David. And you should take advantage of her still being into you. Milk her for what you can and get out. I can't even be bothered to blame you. Women, right? Can't control their hearts and still think they're so romantic. It's pretty common. She really likes me, David mumbled in protest. I sighed and chuckled. Right. She likes you. That's why she gave you my address, so we'd fight, and she could play us against each other for her own gain. She likes you so much so that she couldn't even stay faithful while waiting for you, even got a boyfriend to pass the time. I don't know how she treats you, but she definitely looks out for herself. David looked stunned, probably hearing this kind of talk for the first time. Seeing him like that, I added, Poor little guy. Now, go on. Don't come looking for me again. I'm very busy. With that, I closed the door, leaving David standing there, utterly bewildered. I thought about it, then unblocked Sarah and gave her a call. Hello? I could tell she was exhausted. When's the money coming through? I asked casually, fiddling with my nails. The other end was silent. I thought she'd hung up. Give me some time, Sarah stalled. I don't have that much cash on hand. Fine. 6 times the price, then, I said with a smile. The price goes up the longer you wait. I need to charge some interest, too. Liam! Sarah screamed. I held the phone away from my ear. Don't you dare go too far. I rolled my eyes. 3 days. I want to see that money in my account. Otherwise, someone else will be sitting in your CEO chair, I stated calmly. Are you threatening me? Sarah asked, incredulous. I was equally incredulous. Did you actually think I was kidding? Seriously, what makes her think she's so damn irresistible? The other end was silent for a moment. Then Sarah spoke. You used to love me so much. How did we end up like this? No, I said, without hesitation. It wasn't so much that I loved you deeply, I was just fulfilling my duties as a boyfriend. Sarah, even if we had gotten married, we would have divorced, because I was realizing more and more strongly that we just weren't right for each other. Even though you cheated, I still offered to leave the company we built together mostly to you, just asking for my share of the money. I gave you a dignified way out, and you even tried to weasel out of that. It makes me feel like dating you was an embarrassment in my life. You don't even deserve to be called my ex. After saying that, I hung up, texted Mark to not hold back, and then took a deep breath, looking off into the distance. Chloe's question suddenly echoed in my mind. What kind of person do you want to become? To prevent Sarah from sending any more weirdos to harass me, I decided to move. Chloe volunteered to help. After a flurry of activity, Chloe and I collapsed on the sofa, not wanting to move an inch. Moving is such a pain, I complained. Thanks so much for helping me for so long. If it weren't for you, I don't know how long this would have taken me. I'm taking you out to dinner. No excuses. You're welcome, Chloe said with a smile. It's my pleasure to help a handsome guy. Besides, said handsome guy is treating me to dinner. I blushed a little, pulled out my phone, and said magnanimously, All right, where do you want to eat? Anything you want, my treat. Chloe looked thoughtful, then smiled. Let's get seafood. It's been a while. Sounds good, I agreed. I think there's a new seafood restaurant nearby. Want to check it out? Let's go. 15 minutes later, we arrived at the seafood restaurant. I ordered a king crab. After one bite, Chloe and I looked at each other and smiled, a silent shared memory passing between us. Not as good as the one we had in Antarctica, I said, and it cost several times more. Chloe smiled and nodded in agreement. But the other seafood is pretty good. The seasoning is nice. I nodded, agreeing with her. So, how have you been lately? I asked with a smile. Achieved your current goal yet? Chloe smiled and put down her chopsticks. She shook her head and looked at me. Not yet, but should be soon. What about you? How's the revenge tour going? Successful? I'm getting there, too, I replied with a smile. So, have you figured out what you want to do next? She asked again. Maybe go back to school, I said, looking at the wine in my glass. After starting the business, I rarely read after I got successful. All I wanted to do was travel and have fun. I've had enough fun now, but I still don't know what I really want. Until I figure out what I want, maybe getting a master's degree wouldn't be a bad idea. Chloe nodded. So, have you decided what you want to study? Picked a school yet? Nope, I replied. I haven't been home to see my parents in a long time. I want to go see them first. No rush. Where's your hometown? Chloe mused. Is it fun? It's all right. My hometown is a small town, not far from J-Town. The tourism industry has been doing pretty well there these years. It's worth a visit, I replied with a smile. I'm free. Can I come with you to your hometown? Chloe asked. I paused for a second, then grinned. You want to meet my parents, huh? Sure. I'll be your tour guide, free of charge. Chloe beamed when she got a definite yes. And so, on a bright, sunny day, I took Chloe back to my hometown. The beautiful Chloe attracted a bit of curiosity, drawing a lot of stares. On the way to Chloe's hotel, she kindly stopped to play games with some local kids. Seeing that warmed my heart. A saying suddenly came to mind. You should find someone who is inherently good, not just someone who is good to you. Okay, kids, I said with a smile, taking Chloe's hand. We have things to do, so we have to go now. Chloe looked at the children, and they looked back at her, both sides a little reluctant to part. "You must have been a natural with kids back in the day. They love you so much," I teased her. Chloe smiled shyly. "Playing with kids is a lot of fun. I bought some gifts for your parents. They're in the trunk. We can get them later." "You're too kind. It's just dinner," I chuckled. "Manners count," Chloe said seriously. "Besides, first impressions are important." Good point. You're always so thoughtful," I said with a smile. "I didn't even think of that." Chloe looked proud. "Of course, I'm your woman." Her face turned slightly pink. I took her to my parents' house. My parents are very open-minded. On the way, I'd already told them I'd broken up with Sarah and had a new girlfriend. "Mom, Dad, I'm home." I could smell the braised pork belly from the doorway. "Making something good, huh?" I introduced Chloe, holding her hand. "This is my girlfriend, Chloe. You can just call her Chloe." My dad looked at Chloe. "Is she foreign?" My mom looked at Chloe, thoroughly pleased. "Oh my, this girl is gorgeous. Look at that figure." "Thank you for the compliment, Auntie," Chloe replied smoothly. My mom laughed. "Come on, let's eat before the food gets cold." At the dinner table, Chloe couldn't stop praising my mom's cooking, which delighted my mom to no end. After dinner, she raved about my dad's paintings and asked if she could take one home to keep. My dad was so flattered he was beaming, even standing up a little straighter. That night, my mom and I walked Chloe back to her hotel. On the way home, my mom patted my hand and said earnestly, "Liam, you've grown up. Mom originally thought you'd marry Sarah, but fate had other plans, and you two broke up. But Mom supports you. After all, this Chloe is prettier than Sarah, and she seems like a good person. Mom is very happy with her." "Me? Mom, could you be any more superficial?" "Mom, I'm grown up now. I know what I'm doing," I replied with a smile. "In life, you'll meet many, many people. You need to choose the right ones carefully. But no matter what, Mom and Dad will always be here for you." I nodded, looked up, and saw my father waiting for us at the bend in the road, holding a flashlight. There was a small hiccup in between. Sarah. She came looking for me again. See? Never ending. "What do you want?" I just stepped out to buy a bag of salt and ran into her. Sarah's eyes were red. "Liam, it was all my fault before. Please, forgive me, okay?" "No," I frowned. "What about David?" Sarah was silent for 2 seconds. "Don't worry, he won't be bothering us anymore." See? Women like her, they don't actually love anyone. They only ever care about themselves. Looking at Sarah's remorseful act, I suddenly wanted to laugh. "Sarah, you came looking for me because someone leaked your dirty laundry to the board, didn't they?" I smiled. "So you came back to me, hoping I'd help you. Why don't you guess who did it?" I looked at her, my eyes full of challenge. Sarah's mouth fell slightly open. The somewhat dim-witted woman seemed to realize something, looking at me in disbelief. "It was you. You did this. But you've been traveling. How did you have time to do all this?" I was starting to think she really wasn't very bright. I said, "Technology changes lives. I gave you 3 chances, but you didn't take them. Did you? Don't worry. There are plenty of people who want your position." Seeing Sarah look a bit unsteady on her feet, I smiled with satisfaction. "You wanted to have your cake and eat it too, so don't blame me for this." With that, I turned and walked away. My mom was waiting for this bag of salt. Later, I heard Sarah got kicked off the board. Someone also reported her for financial crimes, and she ended up in jail. As for David, he must have taken my words to heart. He skipped town with a bunch of Sarah's money and went abroad, but that's all ancient history now. On my last day in the small town, I accidentally knocked over a photo album from the bookshelf. A photo fell to the ground. I picked it up. It was a group photo, and in it was me and a little girl with bright blue eyes. That little girl looked familiar. A long-buried memory suddenly surfaced. I was kidnapped when I was a kid. It was dark, and I couldn't see, but I could hear a little girl crying. Strange as it sounds, I wasn't scared of being kidnapped, but hearing her cry made me uneasy. "What are you crying for?" I snapped at the little girl. "The police will come and save us." The little girl's crying subsided a bit. "Are you telling the truth?" Actually, I wasn't. Sure. But I said firmly, "Of course. My dad said he'd find me no matter where I was." "Will your dad save me too?" The little girl's voice was choked with sobs. "Definitely," I declared, righteous. "My dad's not the type to leave someone in a tough spot." "Then, thank your dad for me." The little girl's voice gradually steadied. "No problem," I said grandly. Then we chatted idly. "Where do you want to go after we're rescued?" I asked. I don't know," the little girl said softly. "Well, I want to go to the end of the world. I had just watched a documentary about Antarctica. I want to go there and see penguins. Want to come with me?" I invited her enthusiastically. The little girl whispered, "Okay." Later, the police rescued us. The kidnappers originally wanted a huge ransom from Chloe's parents. I just happened to be playing nearby and got snatched along with her. As the memory returned, I suddenly had an urge to call Chloe. Chloe's cool voice came on the line. "What's up?" "Come out of your hotel, right now. I have some questions for you and I want you to answer them clearly, one by one," I said, already running outside. "Chloe, did we meet when we were kids? Were you the little girl who was kidnapped with me?" I heard my own voice trembling. Silence on the other end for a moment. "Yes." "Have you had a crush on me for a long time?" "Yes." "You said before that you were waiting for someone. Was that person me?" "Yes." "Why?" I suddenly felt my nose tingle. "You said you'd go there. I couldn't find you, so I could only go there and wait for you." Her voice came softly through the phone. "Every vacation after that, I would go there to wait for you. I always felt like we would meet at the end of the world. Later, I really did meet you, but it wasn't there. It was at home. Even back then, I thought, I have to take you there someday." Something else occurred to me. "What's your current goal?" I looked up, my eyes a little teary, and saw her ahead. Chloe was standing there, looking back at me. I heard her voice. "To marry you." I suddenly remembered Chloe scribbling in the post office. I had actually seen what she wrote. We finally came to the end of the world together. From now on, I will be his world's end.